So it's happened, we've reached the funny number. So coming in at number 5, we've got a rammer who's going to show his hand all too early there. Now, he's definitely shown his full intentions, as sports commentators would say. So going into the first corner here, Jones really doesn't have to do much, apart from just get on the brakes and just let him go on his way. Unfortunately, picked up a bit of damage, but not as much as the rammer did. So coming in at number 4, we've got Ballistic, and we've also got someone who's been waiting however long to make this opportunity. He's been waiting about a lap, I would say, to go for the ramp, and as he's on the banking here, he's going to do it. Terrible timing. Almost had a sim twitch there, managed to save it. Now coming in at number 3, I don't know what it is about Catalonia and creativity with you guys, but you know, anytime you see one of those Project Scorpio trucks, it's a bad sign. You've got to be on high alert. And our Cowboy is going to go and take the chicane, the hairpin, but he's going to take the MotoGP route, which is going to throw them for a loop and end up throwing them into the tire wall. So very well done there. And now our DMTC Tab has taken a 6-month break from Forza, and this is what he's been greeted by. Just absolute carnage at a bit of a really a slight bend. It's not even a corner, and it's going to end up so bad. There's going to be a beautiful tandem barrel roll. And now in at number 1, we've got XD, and just so you know, this video is extremely long because of a Q&A, not because of like a million clips, but there's going to be a standard amount of carnage at turn 1. Actually, I would say it's a bit lower than normal, but don't worry, there's turn 2 coming up here, and guys just can't seem to work this out. It's going to be so bad, in fact, it's going to come to a complete standstill, and XD is just going to stand there in complete disbelief. So it is now time for the Q&A portion of this video, making this the longest Idiots of the Week in history. But first off, we've got V8 AMG 577 asking 2 questions. First, when do you think Turn 10 will listen to the community? And to that, I think they already are, to a certain extent. You know, with doing the penalty system, I don't think that's very easy to do. But there are certain things, like he's mentioned here, ghosting system, certain things like ghosting lap cars that they could probably quite easily do, that they just don't seem to be doing. And also he asks, what is my dream job? There's 2. First off is racing driver, second is YouTuber. So the first not going to happen, so I guess it's going to be virtual racing driver on YouTube. Next up we have Mr. Aguera asking, would you work for Turn 10, and who is my favorite YouTuber? I'd be stupid to turn down a job from Turn 10, so if anyone is listening, hit me up and I will definitely accept. And my favorite YouTuber is Nakey Jakey. He doesn't post very often, but it's always fantastic quality when he does. The definition of quality over quantity. If you haven't seen his stuff, definitely go check him out. It will be worth your time. So then we have Salty Zealot asking, got a car in real life? If so, what is it? I've got a 2010 VW Golf 6 TSI. Now I wasn't fortunate enough to have parents who were able to buy me a car, so I had to buy it myself. So I suppose that makes me a bit prouder of it, and a bit more appreciative than I would otherwise be, perhaps. But yeah, quite proud of that. Next we have Bob Peanut asking why his PP is hard, and I think you should either, depending on your age, see a doctor or talk to your parents, and then they can tell you. Then we have Yuchia J asking, what made you start Idiots of the Week? So this actually started, I was going through the Xbox feed in Forza 6 days, and I saw a clip from Rossi where he dodged our favorite rammer, Big Colt, the man who's been banned on at least 15 accounts, I would say. And I thought, hey, there's so much of this in the game, surely we can make a series out of this. And the rest is history. With something like 100 episodes in across the 2 games. It has evolved quite a bit since then. But yeah, go watch some of the older ones and you'll see what I mean about how different it is to when it's first started. Then we have Jesse DeRoy asking, if and when are you going to do league racing? Now this could be 2 things. Either he's talking about in-game leagues in Forza, in which case never, because too far from the servers to connect by myself. Everyone in South Africa is, so we have to join on internationals, and in league racing in Forza you can't join on a friend. But if he's talking about privately organized things, probably not until YouTube is like full time. because right now between YouTube and working, I just don't have the time to like practice for anything like that. And yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but you know, hopefully if I just keep plugging away, I will eventually have that time when I can do that, because basically I work 8 to 5 now, and then I come home and I'll probably finish YouTube on most days at about 10 or 11, so I really don't have a lot of time. So if I do slack with some things, that's why I just don't have much time available. So then we've got Yuchia J back again, asking which is my favorite Forza and why. Obviously it's going to be Forza 4, most people's favorites, and the reason for that, well, there's a number of reasons for that. So you can go and watch my video about Forza 4, why it was the best, if you haven't already. And then next up we have Tigos asking why my name is Devon. That's kind of what my parents settled on, really, and it's probably the easiest way to say that. So next we have Viniac asking favorite idiots of the week moment. This is a good question. There's been so many, but you know, I will always have fond memories of Bob Peanuts rolling after, like, across the start-finish line, but doing it way too early, making him the #1 idiot of all time so far for Forza 7. But obviously he wasn't a dirty rammer, so not too bad. Then we have Barney Ward asking, what's been your least favorite moment racing online, particularly in Forza? That's a good question. To be honest, there's it's got to be, if I think about it now, it's got to be like the troubles I had before I got the internet I've got now. Because where I was living before, we only literally had access to one kind of internet, and it really sucked. So pretty much every race I did was just laggy as all hell, and like to get anything for YouTube was a very long process. So that was not a lot of fun, and that was probably a good year and a half of that. So then we have Merganator asking what my dream car is and would it be a daily driver. So I've got two, I would say. We've got obviously money no object. We've got something like a Pagani Huayra BC. I'm a sucker for Paganis, and I prefer the Huayra to the Zonda, so I've got to go with that. And then, like, as far as a realistic, attainable dream car, it's got to be a Honda S2000. I said the same thing like 3 years ago when I did a Q&A when my channel was still like 200 subscribers. So I'm going to stick with the S2000. I've always loved that car. It's very rare here, so they're quite expensive, and the reason I don't have one. So next we've got Joe Motts asking, what made you start doing your YouTube channel? So I noticed there was like a gap in the market when Forza 6 first came out. No one was really sort of teaching people how to get better, or trying to anyway. There's a lot of, you know, the big YouTube channels when racing games are a lot of the time just really rubbish, and you know who I'm talking about. So I figured there's a gap for that, and it turned out there was, but there's only so much you can do with that, so I had to expand a bit to start doing multiplayer, and now we've expanded to like Sims and even PlayStation, so it's quite a big adventure we've been on here, and one I'm hoping to continue. So next we've got a loaf of bagels asking about what I think about the current direction Formula 1 is heading. To be honest, I don't really I follow Formula 1, but I don't have any keen interest in it. I find it quite dull, and I think more and more people are saying that. You just look at anyone who really follows motorsports. The thing that most people are into these days is GT racing. It's so much better, you know, and you've got the variety in the sounds and the way the cars look, and they're all like, you've got balance of performance, so the cars are very even most of the time. Whereas Formula 1 is just like a money game. So yeah, pretty much he who has the most money shall be the champion. And then he also says that I have the greatest voice on all of YouTube, which I tend to disagree with, but thank you very much for saying that. So then we have James Bond 00797 asking, what do you think would be the most important change to Forza games to keep them new, make them better? So, you know, I think Forza needs to kind of make the experience a lot more immersive. And people will say things like, oh, sounds don't really matter, but sounds matter. They really do. As far as like wanting to recreate real world racing, which is what we want to do after all. And you know, when the sounds are bad and you know that they're bad and they're nowhere near accurate, it really does take you out of it. And that's why I'm enjoying playing Sims. Obviously it's not the only reason I'm enjoying playing Sims, but yeah, and I do think Forza needs to work pretty hard on making the wheel feel just as good as it does on other games, and make it feel as good as controller, because at the moment I really hate the feeling of the wheel on Forza, but every other game I've got, like Gran Turismo, Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, Dirt, it feels fantastic on the wheel. So then we've got PTG West Memester. How did you join JSR? Like, was I in any teams before, and how were you scouted? So before I was, we're going back to Forza 4, so this is like well before JSR, and I even changed my gamer tag before that. But yeah, I was in EMW in Forza 4 like the rest of planet Earth, so that's not really like a big accomplishment. But yeah, like I kind of joined JSR just from messaging Razor, literally while he had just started JSR, or just before he had started JSR, so it was just good timing on my part. And yeah, he was like, he noticed a lot of the screenshots I was taking, because at that time I was doing a lot of leaderboards in Forza 6 and improving quite a lot. And he was like, hey, we see you improving, do you want to join? So I was like, okay, cool. And then here we are 3 and a bit years later, still going strong with the team. So next we have Chandler Reynolds asking, any other hobbies other than racing games and YouTube? Well, yes and no. I mean, pretty much YouTube is it right now, and racing games, because I mean, I don't even have time to play other games these days, so literally I only play racing games right now. So then we got Sam Rob, which idiot has been your favorite so far? That's got to be Mr. Big Colt, because he has been featured far more than anyone else. We've actually worked out he's probably got about 15-20 gamer tags. I'm desperately calling on Turn 10 to console IP ban him, because every time an account gets banned, he just creates another one, and he actually holds the record for the most accounts banned at any given time. He had 5 accounts banned simultaneously, which is just unbelievable. And if you're listening to this, dude, you know, we're here to talk. You clearly got something wrong with you. I don't say that in like a condescending way. Just please talk to someone, because this isn't normal. So then we have Robert Smith asking, since you've played both Gran Turismo and Forza, which one do you prefer and why? I haven't played enough Gran Turismo to give a proper definitive answer to that, but at the moment I'm enjoying Gran Turismo more. Literally just started on the wheels, so what you're seeing here is my very first wheel race. It was a private race, so you know, nothing serious, but it was good fun, and it feels really awesome. And like I said earlier, the sounds matter, and the sounds aren't brilliant in Gran Turismo, but they sound a lot better, especially in first person cameras, than Forza does. So then Curtis Jackson asks, I heard one single hopper will be introduced in the March updates, including the new race regulations. Will you be racing this, and how is your internet connection? We need a petition to get South Africa having fiber optic speeds. So I will definitely be doing that. I figured it was going to be like game wide, but it's probably a good thing that they just introduced it to one hopper for now, just to test the waters, because I think it's going to cause a few problems with them removing the tire barriers. It's just going to like make the rammers just so happy. But fortunately that will go away when the collision ones are coming in, hopefully. And then my internet connection's not too bad, that's why I'm able to stream these days, but lately it's not been brilliant. And actually my area does have fiber, it's just not active, so they laid it. It must be 4 or 5 months ago, and it's just never been available, so I don't know what the hell the point of them laying it was, but hey, hopefully one day we'll have it soon, and then I will be sure to get on the fiber grind. So then next we got Kiwi Styles asking, what do you think the best way Forza could introduce newer and inexperienced players to the Forza race regulation system? Also, do you think Forza needs to be more proactive in selecting more suitable race marshals. So let's start with the race marshals. Right now, the people they are recruiting are people who play a lot of Forza. So that's what we want. It was different when they first started the program because there were a lot of guys who were just given the title as like, hey, we know who you are, do you want to be a marshal? And these are guys who either never played multiplayer or very, very rarely did. And a lot of them are actually just purely Horizon players. So that was a bit bizarre, and it was a bit irritating for me because I wasn't included in that, but fortunately I did now. But yeah, I think they should maybe include a bit more people. We do recommend people every now and then, and then some of them haven't been invited yet, so I think that probably should be happening. And then introducing players to race regulations, they could just do the same thing Gran Turismo does. It's literally watching 3 minutes of videos to show you what you can do, what you can't do in a racing situation, and then at least the game can sort of say, okay, or Turn 10 can say, well, you watched those videos, you had to watch them to race online, so therefore theoretically you saw them and you know what they said, so you've done this wrong, cheers, you're out of here. So they've got sort of no recourse to something like that, and it will teach people who are actually paying attention about things that they can and can't do that they might have otherwise not known. So next we have Midnight Racer asking Gran Turismo 4 or Forza Motorsport 1. Never played Forza Motorsport 1, so I can't really give an answer there. And then we got PK asking, what do you think about the direction that Turn 10 is going with Forza? Will it be more towards the sim side of racing games with improved wheel physics and the upcoming track limits? So I think they will introduce some things that are more sim related, like penalties, and eventually, hopefully, when we come to the next Forza, proper pit stops and strategies and tire compounds and things like that. That would be really, really awesome, but I don't think they're going to go like the way of sim with like proper physics modeling, because at the end of the day they just want to sell copies, and if you start making the game a proper sim, that's like 90% of your audience. You're just going to be like, nope, I'm not going to play this anymore. But yeah, I think the wheel stuff does need to improve a lot. I mean, Gran Turismo has shown you can do both, and even Dirt has shown you can do both, have good wheel physics or good wheel modeling and good controller modeling at the same time. So then Rare Shadow J, because we all know 69 is an epic number, am I right? Anyway, if you could choose any Japanese tuner, what would it be? I've got to say, like I said earlier, Honda S2000, gonna go run with that. Yeah, always loved that car, probably always will. So Hudson asks, who's your favorite other YouTuber to collaborate with and why? There's a whole lot, and I don't want to like leave anyone out. So pretty much everyone I've collaborated with so far, apart from the one who didn't do his job, and I'm always going to be salty about that. Yeah, apart from that, I enjoy collaborating with everyone. I generally collaborate with people when I know who they are first, so that I know that we get along, and that's generally the reason that it works, because you get along. So next we have Mateus asking, why wouldn't you join championships made by the community in Forza and Project Cars? Also, do you like drifting? Not a big fan of drifting, and I don't join championships because, like I said earlier, I just don't have the time. Sean Smith asks, Forza or Gran Turismo? And like I said earlier, I have not played enough Gran Turismo to give a definitive answer. Then we've got Thomas asking, Honda, Toyota or Nissan? Gonna have to go with Honda on that one. And Brett Ward 420 asks, how can you become a marshal and clean up the rammers? So the best way to do that is to be known to Turn 10 and get recommended by other players. It doesn't always mean that you will get an invite, but it's certainly not going to hurt your chances. So then Hudson's back asking another question. Do you think the next Forza Motorsport game should be Forza Motorsport 4 remastered instead of Forza 8? You know, I think the way it should work with Forza is that every game that comes up should have all the features of the previous game and then some. So, you know, if they made it Forza Motorsport 4 remastered and then added a few new features to make it Forza 8, so if they almost combined Forza 7 and Forza 4, you would pretty much have Forza 8, so that they should do that and then make it more sort of sim-related in terms of strategies and tire compounds, like I said earlier, same thing like that. And then we've got Quinton Bronsfeld asking how to join a well-known team like GTR, F4H, LZR, or TUS. So this is something people ask quite a bit, but it really just depends on the level of the team. So some teams you can just become friends with some of the guys who are in it, start racing with them, and you might get invited. Or you can even just message someone and just say, hey, how do I get into your team? But when it comes to like the top level teams like LZR, aka F4H, JSR, TPR, teams like those, it's pretty much invite only. So I was lucky with JSR. I was there in the early days and I did get invited the same way, like invite only, but like right now, like skill level, no way in hell I'd be even in consideration. So I'm very glad I've got this channel to kind of back me up, like, hey guys, don't kick me out. I have this channel to offer. So then next we have Max L asking, when did you start playing Forza and what advice do you have for newish players? So I started playing Forza in probably 2009, end of 2009 when Forza 3 came out. I didn't play a whole lot because I never had like online racing until then, so I didn't know about leaderboards or anything. And then when Forza 4 came out, I was pretty much online at that stage, and then I hit it pretty hard. So then, what advice do you have for newest players? Just play, you know, because there's no substitute for playing as much as you can, and definitely do rivals, follow ghosts, watch replays. That's definitely the top way that you're going to get better. So then Cryptic asks, do you think Toyota will return in Forza 8? Honestly, I can't say, but maybe they are going to realize this foolishness of their decision to pull out. But we'll see. You can never tell with these things. Only time will tell. So then the Beast asks, what would you like to see changed for Forza Motorsport 8? I would just like to see a more polished game overall, in terms of on launch not being so crash filled. You know, just being more racing focused, not so much about the car count. This isn't Pokemon, as they've kind of made it. I'll collect them all. Yeah, just more racing focused, a better racing roster of cars, and please, better sounds. I'm begging you to maintain the sounds adds so much to the game. And then Tofu Boy asks, are you planning to do a 2-hour NASCAR, LMP, Formula E, Formula Mazda, Formula Ford or GT race? I'm planning the 2.4 hours of Le Mans on Project Cars 2, the reason being because you can set the time progression to 10 times. So if we do it 2.4 hours, we're going to go through the full 24-hour cycle. And that's something I wanted to do last year, but at the time my internet was just so crap, I couldn't. So, and then we have Victor Mihai asking, will you be moving to another country in the future? This is something I've been wanting to do for ages. It's just a question of money, really. And on the other side, if I'm making, let's say, $700 a month on YouTube, $700-800, that would be enough for me to do it full time. Whereas if I was overseas, like in the UK or the US, there's no way in hell I'd be able to make a living on that sort of money. So, you know, I would like to, but at the same time, I would like to not have too much risk in doing it. So, you know, all you guys who are supporting on Patreon and donating to streams, even just watching videos with the ads, it does make a big difference, and we are slowly but surely getting towards that goal. So in Old School Racing asking favorite track from the 70s, I don't even want to say, because I don't want to look like a fool and start naming tracks that were designed after the 70s. So I'm not too good in when it comes to, you know, the age of tracks and things like that. But one track that does come to mind, and I think it is old enough, is Zandvoort. I really, really love that track. It's only in Assetto Corsa of the games that I have, but it should definitely be in more games. And then finally we have Onion Bats asking Ferrari or Lamborghini. I'm going to have to go with Ferrari there. And yeah, that's the end of the Q&A, the end of the longest Idiots of the Week in history. Thank you for making it to the end. If you have, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the support on the series and on the channel, and I hope to keep entertaining you guys for the future. So if you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like. If you're new around here, go ahead and subscribe. If you'd like to support me, the Patreon link is up here in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.